All right, welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
And I'm Ben. Here we are, Eli, with our 40th issue, the final one of the Grendel ongoing series. It's our 91st episode, the March to 100. And today the intro is all about remembering Tim Sale. Thank you so much for all your work, sir. We love it.
Unfortunately, in between the last two episodes that we recorded, we lost the amazing, incredible artist, Tim Sale. You all know him. You all love him. He's the artist on the very book we're reading right now. We were hoping to have him back on the show to talk about this run, but we will forever be in his blessings. He will forever be in our blessings, and we were honored to have him on the cast with Diana and Matt. Like, what an amazing guy. That was such... I think that was one of our best interviews. I mean, we've had some great ones, but yeah. What do you remember about that, about seeing him here? And I remember you were psyched.
I was psyched. I remember hearing all these books that I'd never heard of that I now own. That are awesome.
Yes, me too.
Billy 99, Amazon, yes. And Thieves World is the other one.
Okay.
And just remembering like how I remember Wizard Magazine really going hard for really getting really hard for Long Halloween. And I have my Long Halloween that my grandfather bought me. It's right down there. Right. Really, really well worn. It's probably like one of my first like big hardcover books. And I bought all of the Dark Victory books. Dark Victory in my memory is a better book. And I was an intern at Marvel when Hulk Gray was coming out. And the Daredevil book and the Spider-Man book and the Captain America White book and
all the colors. They were
all the colors. Superman for All Seasons. I remember reading that one. Mm-hmm. Just it's a very, very unique style. Heavy blacks, a lot of geometry, a lot of drama, a lot of composition. And Brennan's been posting all the collaborative work that they got to do together, and it was a really good fit. And isn't that great? Another thing I've been thinking about, okay, so that's the sad part. Very sad. Tim, we'll miss you. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for making the book. Thanks for entertaining us. We should do mini episodes where we bring Brennan, come on for mini episodes, and you can hold court about Star Wars and tell us, give us the real poop. Because as we're like approaching the Paladin with all the lightsabers and all that stuff, I would love to hear Brennan's takes on Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ashoka as it comes out and all that stuff. So yes, open invitation, Brennan. You're always welcome to come onto the show.
Well, I had one more thing to say about Tim.
Yeah.
Just please. That he was one of the first of my favorite creators that I met at a con, and I was really able to like talk to and get a sketch off of and everything. You've seen the Grendel. And at that same time, they were doing live tattoos there. And I was like, oh, Tim, you gotta like design me a tattoo. You gotta draw me like some sweet Grendel eyes. And he's like, oh, that'd be cool. I can dash that off in a second. And he drew these amazing Grendel eyes for me. And that was like 10 or 12 years ago at MegaCon, a very long time ago. Tanisha and I were probably not even dating at the time. We were just friends. And I finally end up getting that. Oh, wrong arm.
Wrong arm.
I finally ended up getting that tattoo.
Hey, that's good.
In Toronto. Craig CK did it. And I'll have Tim and Grendel with me forever.
How is the touch of Craig CK with the
It was beautiful. It was stunning to watch him. I was getting like almost tired at the end because it was like so smooth, and after a while it just the burning and ripping of your flesh just becomes so soothing, and the fiery heat puts you kind of to sleep a little bit. It was nice to watch him.
I can only imagine. My wife is upstairs, so she might hear me say this, but I feel like maybe in 10 or 15 years I might get tattoos, but she has threatened to leave me if I get tattooed.
Really?
Yeah. Big Jew.
There's a lot of a talk in the Jewish community too about whether the tattoo is a sign of disgrace or whether it is as is encouraged as decorating your temple. We've talked about this, I think, right?
I can imagine. I hear you. I hear you with the decorating your temple. Speaking of woo-woo shit, our friend Daniel Moeller,
shout out Daniel,
has his book, the Shamanic Soul. Great
Very
book.
good. Yeah,
it is.
Check it out on Amazon. It was in the top 5 books in the like metaphysical number 2. That's huge.
It's very well done. It's very accessible. There's real wisdom in there, and it's beyond skepticism and like, ooh, is this real? Is the occult real? It's very he moves through what was it? It's like chapter 1, Joseph Campbell, new spin and wisdom on Joseph Campbell. I couldn't believe it. Like very short sections, and when he ends, he's like, yeah, we all go through the monomyth, but we keep going through it. Like David Byrne says, a wheel within a wheel, or like the Grateful Dead, small wheel turned by the fire and rod, big wheel turned by the grace of God. So chapter 1, Joseph Campbell, chapter 2, Terrence McKenna, chapter 3, Carl Jung, chapter 4, Robert Anton Wilson. I'm all in. Really good stuff. Check it out. Dan Moeller.
All right. Hell yeah. This week's episode is brought to you by Dan Moeller's book, Shamanic Soul, now on Amazon.
Cool.
So let's kick it into that theme song, and then we're going to get into the book.
It's like the devil is my best friend. On the road with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, we're back, and this week we're getting into just one side of Grendel number 40, the final of the Kimiko run. Now, again, this is a flip book, and it will segue into Grendel Tales.
Yeah, and that's Hoche Anderson, who you met last weekend.
I met at TCAF, yeah. Gave him a Grendel zine, and he was psyched to possibly be on the cast. So stay tuned for more info on that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting ending of the ongoing series. Eli, you know what's so crazy is that this is issue 40 of the ongoing series, but we are on episode 91 of our podcast. So there's more out of order chronology than there is in, you know what I mean? Like,
yes. Yeah, but not by much. Well, I guess by 10, by like 11, by 10.
Well, plus,
but still,
extras here and there, but it's really amazing how that works. And, you know, we talk so much about, what else will be revisited in the future? We'll see. Also, Omnibus 1 released today, I believe.
Did you
get it?
I did. Get it? It's already in the shelf, but yeah, I got it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to grab mine tomorrow.
It looks good. It's got the Chris Pitzer coloring for Devil by the Deed, and then all throughout it's just got like black, white, and red. So it's really cool. It looks great.
I'm sure it does.
And some of the only original coloring, I mean, they have Jill Thompson's like really cool like child Grendel drawings, you know, and that retains its, because that was almost the only thing that was like a little bit different, you know, like done differently, whereas everything else is just kind of like pen and ink.
Because it's watercolor.
It's ink washes and stuff.
Yeah. That's cool. I think that
great.
there's a few things that are probably going to benefit from being scaled up a little bit, like places where there's tiny text that's just like, oh god. So
yeah, and it's just good to see it at that size again. A good place, like, because I met a lot of these Grendel fans at TCAF that I was giving the zine away to, of which we're now out. Hoche got the last one.
Oh, there you go.
And they were all like, sometimes, you know, I don't know where to start. Or like, there was one person that was like, I've seen this image before and I keep seeing this character. And I'm like, I really want to start. And I'm like, dude, the brand new omnibus came out this week. Go right to your store and get it ASAP as possible.
What a better time. Perfect. Now Matt today posted a drawing of him with the cat at the desk,
Right. Well, a photo, not a drawing.
Right. But he had a photo, right?
Right,
He was working on a
photo
drawing
of him,
and it looked like I hope it was fish. So my guess is that if it's not for the new Paladin, Devil's Crucible,
right? Yeah.
I think it's the aquarium, the 3-part.
Oh my
aquarium.
god!
I was like, if it's the aquarium, I'm gonna plot. So I'm delighted.
Well, there is a new Grendel story for that, or comics for Ukraine book that's like on its way out.
Oh, right.
We'll have to cover that.
We'll have to get the comics for Ukraine.
That's
okay, so let's talk about this cover here. This is we have the destruction of Vegas, the front. Oh, and it's a flip book, so it's not a wraparound. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The only of the Kamiko that's not a wraparound.
And I think it's really interesting that they use the Grendel Tales logo, or a version of it that we will become used to later on. So in Matt's intro here, he talks about moving forward and how things are going to happen, and how they're currently 5 months behind for launching Grendel Tales. Unfortunately, it seems like Trouble in Paradise at Kamiko is going to stall that up. Yada, yada, yada. Next time we meet, we'll be at Dark Horse.
Exactly. Yes. Yada, yada, yada. But I also kind of thought it was like the further they went along, it seems like they got Matt kind of his idea for where he wanted to take Orion kind of changed. But then it was like some things were in motion already. So he had to kind of like put some things off. Because don't we return to Orion, who charges the Paladin to watch over Jupiter later? So we return
maybe
to Orion, I believe.
When I finished this book, I had to reread War Child. I read about a third of it on the days that followed, and it's such a different book than this, and it's so breezy. And yeah, there's stuff with Laurel and trying to, they're trying to do their machinations and plotting, but then when it's Jupiter and Grendel Prime, it's like all silent and just ass kicking.
Yeah,
it's
like
very breezy. Yeah. I can't wait to get into that with Pat McEwen. And I didn't realize Matt inks that book.
Oh.
And
it's almost like, I feel like it's almost like we'll do like one thing of Grendel Tales and then like a Prime thing, and then like go back into Grendel Tales or something like that. Because I don't know. Because
the reading order is gonna get dicey. It's gonna be strange doing this one Steve Siegel, Hoche Anderson story, and then jumping into 10 weeks of War Child.
War Child. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we can do 4 Devils, 1 Hell, because that's what the omnibus places next.
No.
That's
a lie. Oh, you lie.
I just got it right here. You want me to grab it?
No, I believe you.
Oh.
Okay.
So we start here. Thus the world entered its latest and unarguably greatest imperial age, a time when peace and general prosperity covered the globe for a period of some 50 years. So here we are. He's finally united everywhere on the earth. He rules all. He is king. He is Orion I say it like that instead of like Orion 1 or the first. I don't know. That's what I always read in my brain, because I think it was like Haile Selassie I, means like Selassie the first. So I just read that as that in my head always.
You do you. I'm curious, when Fadi calls him Ori, is it Ori or Ori?
Oh, Orion.
Because Ori, it sounds like it's like an Israeli name. Uri,
Uri. Yeah, you're right. That's a good call. I don't know. Ori, I think, but all right. So yeah, all the stuff is happening, and it's a rise of these clans of Grendels, these location based, fashion based, symbologically based. Yeah. And this is what leads really into the Grendel Tales and all these different Grendel eyes. Yeah. And so what makes Grendel Tales so cool is you see all these different versions of the Grendel eyes, and you'll really see that in the end papers for the art of Matt Wagner's Grendel. Beautiful, like drawing of all these different kind of Grendel logos, and that's what we see grow out of these different clans.
Yeah, the first page ends with Orion announcing the beginning of a round of gladiatorial games.
Yeah,
and we get the sense that because we are now united under Orion's banner, that war can only be like, disputes need to be like not isolated, but like more like game simulation. But what happens with these guys is they go in and they fight to the death, and if they don't die, they're maimed and they commit ritual suicide. And Orion is like very like, you must be as disciplined as possible. He has to keep these guys on their toes, because if they ever get bored, they're too strong to be bored. Otherwise, you're gonna get another Oscar Berlinetta trying to fuck with the order, to destabilize things.
Exactly. They can never get bored, because once people get bored like that, they become dangerous.
Right. This is where the pledge, the Grendel oath,
right,
is
on
later.
the next page. We see a large like stadium where the gladiatorial games are happening. It looks very similar.
That's the aftermath. That's the fire of death.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. See, this just immediately brings up the like race cars of that one of Devil May Care.
Devil May Care.
Yeah. All right. So yes, as we said, here comes the Pledge of Allegiance to the Grendel. Do they have a special name for it? No, it replaces the archaic Pledge of Allegiance. With Orion's sword, the hunter arose and conquered the world with fury and grace. In him was I born, in him shall I die, in him shall I lose name, station, and face. Death over weakness, death over despair, death over personal gain. Death over dishonor, death over undeath, death over the fire with no flame. All this I pledge thee, O Grendel, great Khan, to serve and protect over death's endless tide. With your word in my heart, your eyes in my face, and your tooth in my hand, by my side. Vivat Grendel!
What's this death over the fire with no flame? Is that a reference to something I'm not picking up, or what does that mean?
No, I can't remember that. Death over the fire with no flame.
Okay, so
symbologically something.
This is all right. So we're getting into the new like tripod dynamic of power between an aging Fadi, an aging Orion, and this very ambitious Laurel Kennedy, who has found her way to sort of fill the gap with energy to resolve the problems that these people no longer have the patience or the energy to deal with. Laurel Kennedy
is quite a name too, a very commanding,
of course. Yeah,
of course.
Totally. She I have a friend, one of my best friends. I will not be divulging a lot of information on this. One of my best friend's his wife is related to a current political figure who my friend, they ended up living in this person's, they were between homes and they lived in their guest house for 3 months or something like that. And so my friend got to know the person who is currently very much in the American public eye at the moment. And he told me that this person's defining characteristic was their ambition. And I said, that is quite Grendel and quite Laurel Sante.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. All right. So yeah, and this is also a time where Fadi is kind of like ribbing him and chiding him, saying like, you gotta have an heir.
Right. You know? If you don't do that, then it's gonna fall apart.
Yeah, there's gonna be a big problem once you die. Like, we need an heir. We need a process of the throne. You know, we need something. And he's like, you've got to marry someone. And that's when, I don't know if that's when, but Laurel's like,
hey, no, I mean, this is the plan, you know. And we do have problems because, as we see on the next page, the United Globe, people are not happy with the state. what we're reading, this document is sort of like rose-colored glasses about like the struggles and triumphs of Orion, but really he's like a well-intentioned fascist, because if you're going to get this job done, it requires fascism.
Right.
So you got all these people trying to shoot him, and all these like Secret Service Grendels like taking bullets for him, and Orion's kind of over the whole thing. He's like 80 years old at this point. So, he's crazy old.
Yeah. And he's ready to kind of like step back a little bit and get out of the spotlight. His people are gone. What he originally probably started it for is gone, and so he's just like, okay, this is getting crazy.
It says somewhere in here that he loves the world. And it seems like he kind of loves the world despite itself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So what happens, he becomes more and more isolated, grief, loss, and death.
Well, and there's all these death threats and assassination attempts and stuff too. So it's like, it's more dangerous for him to do anything, to come out into the world that he loves so much.
Yeah. It's like, this is the thanks I get. And Fadi's body,
body.
It's as if she's sort of like served her purpose. We've unified the world. She could only organize so much, and then diabetes and all this other stuff. Yeah, and on her deathbed, she's still like, you must have an heir. He's like, stop. She's like, no, you must have an heir.
And with her dying breath, she was like giving him orders and just how she kept his life together this whole time.
Yeah.
Even after her on her deathbed, she continues.
In isolated reflection, he realizes she's right.
Yeah. He had no challenges left to pursue, no tasks left to perform, except for one. He finally conceded Fadi had been right.
Okay.
All right.
And then here's Laurel like standing in silhouette seductively in the doorway.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what she does. She just like he cleaves to her bosom, knowing that like, this is all right. This is where we're gonna go with this.
I am all alone too. All right. So then it immediately cuts to the wedding. This is the biggest wedding of all time, the biggest royal wedding of all time.
The biggest event of all time.
Yeah. 99.5% of the world's population watches this event. What are those other 5% doing, you think?
They're trying to assassinate him.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Or they're vampires, and they,
there you go. Yeah, it's 5% vampire. There you
go. I think it talks about how like Laurel's ascension is very intentional, and like this is like that ambition is coming on. Oh, there's one thing that they were talking about, that they have to they're levying extra taxes on Africa,
right?
And that like we'll give them too many taxes, and then after a year they'll beg for reprieve, which we'll give them, and we'll come out looking like the good guys. So Laurel goes to Africa, and she tells them, oh, you don't like your tax status? You better get used to it.
Yes. And this is part of her slowly taking over all these tasks and taking over the like running of the world.
He doesn't want to do it. It says here, I don't know if it's here or maybe later, he didn't care how she ran things, just as long as she did run things.
Yes, exactly. I think that's on the next page. We see here they consummate their relationship. They're trying to have this baby. They continue working at it. I think it is on this page that they say that, but yeah. But on the next page, it starts getting really real about having this baby when they realize that, her fallopian tubes have a severe blockage.
Right.
That can't be.
Yeah. And she's like, but don't you morons know I have a teenage daughter? And like, yeah, it was probably the pregnancy with her that's putting you in this position now, which is like, to me, that's like the meatiest like seed of no pun intended. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Like everything that's going to happen in War Child with Crystal is like, that starts here.
Right. The resentment that she has for Crystal. Now she can't be the mother of, but does she donate her eggs? Like they don't really
That's a very good question. They don't say that.
Yeah.
I feel like in War Child they refer to Jupiter as her stepson.
Interesting.
So I don't know where the egg is coming from, but suddenly out of Wagnerian left field is, oh, by the way, the plot to the movie Junior is happening here, where men are medical science has advanced.
When did that
so
movie
far.
come out? Is it like right around this?
Oh, like
late
8
80s?
years after this. No, that's like it's like 1998, something like that.
Okay, all right, good.
I'm having a baby. So I really love this. Right. So he makes the decision that like he's gonna
carry this baby,
and it's like the ultimate expression of like, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself.
Right. Well, I like this pan up like to his eye with like the little bit of red Bernie puts in there, kind of like him being like, okay, I've got to surrender my body or something like that, like women have to do all the time.
Speaking of pans to red, the first 2 panels in the operating theater on page 9, you end and there's Laurel teeny tiny in red in the window. You see that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Cool?
Yeah,
isn't that cool?
That's great.
When I was teaching today, and when I was teaching storyboarding, and I tell the kids, even if like you can't draw, just use color coding to visually distinguish the characters. Especially useful if in this case where the shot is so wide that the character is a single dot.
Right. In red, and then you come out here and see her silhouetted in red. Yeah, colored in red. Yeah.
This panel here, right? And she's pissed because she's not gonna have as much control. Right. She's not gonna be the queen mom. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
she'll
exactly.
Be the queen stepmom.
To...
So this panel is like the nose on this one. It seems like Bernie is not quite in concert with Tim's inks. Like the shape, the shape of the shape of the nose of Laurel's nose seems to change a little bit throughout all these panels, but in this one it's just like, ooh, maybe there's like something's going on with the lighting that these guys are not quite synced up with.
Right. Yeah, that's a hard to light that one because she's in shadows, so
we haven't even talked about the repetitive Orion sword. Like that's a machine. They talk about how Orion has conquered the world, he's conquered the plague, sort of, and he's conquered technology. And so but in conquering technology, he's created a PR machine that's sort of really dangerous.
Well, and we used to see you now, and we used to see other countries, and we used to see all these things, and now it's just Orion Sword.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's left. It's probably like Orion Sword TV. It's probably like Orion Sword. All media is run,
or like all that anyone. I don't even know if the movies are being made anymore. It's just everyone just wants to be a Grendel because you get special privileges and you get a gun.
Yeah, exactly. You have like a reason for being.
He stands there trying to calm the crowd, pregnant in his like pink maternity suit in profile, and really please, my Grendels, and they're just wiling out. They can't get enough of them.
It. Like our primary goal is to perpetuate the race and activate its quality. So again, he's just like, I'm providing you with this pure blood heir, of like who will be unfallible in the future.
Yeah, I really love this shot of, it looks like at least 100 figures.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
that's amazing.
Both Tim and Bernie must have there's more work just because of there's more work in these 2 panels than in like most panels in this.
Well, and they don't like start shorthanding it. They don't start making it
every shoulder pad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. Very
because
cool.
They're not in shadow, they're in this hall that's fully lit, so it wouldn't be going back into shadow or whatever, where they could just make them all black or brown or something.
Yeah. This is on 10, they start talking about the thing you'd mentioned where the Grendels sort of start becoming more individualized. They sort of break away from like the fraternity feeling that had bonded them, because now instead of being satisfied as like this class of this martial class, now they want their own power. And so they do all this fashion stuff to individualize themselves, but they also find loopholes where just because they can't own property,
yeah,
they still make people put them up.
right.
And they end up living like
lavish,
princes.
yes, right, without having to pay for anything, taxes, rent, for food. They just live for free. And if these people don't give them, and we see this later in the future with those backup stories, that guy who's like Blue King or whatever.
Blue King Dick.
Blue King Dick.
Blue King.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember what happened.
Big Dick King. You don't remember that?
It
was a backup, and he does have a lot of dicks.
I haven't read Devil's Quest in like 15 years, so I don't remember. Okay, so they're watching one of these tournaments where it's like this is these are the political social routines that we've established, so we need to maintain them to keep things stable. And he's like having pregnancy pains.
Yeah.
He's like, can't I just go? She's like, no, you have to stay, you have to give the trophy, you have to you have to go through the motions of making this happen.
Yeah, it's so funny, of like staying strong and staying the like king, the monarch, our leader, and this is the first we meet Crystal in person. Yeah. Who ends up growing up with us, and we get to see a lot of her and her bodyguards.
Right.
We get one of the all-time greatest Grendel characters. For sure.
It's also revealed, I mean, I'll bury the lead, for 2 pages down the road. Crystal is the one, and we've talked about this. Crystal has written this book.
Right.
And it's like she's written this book to like make sure that Orion's legacy is polished. She believes in it. And then also to kind of like put her mother down, or she's like, I could write a whole nother book about what my mother did.
Right.
Maybe I will. But this book is written 40 years after Orion's death.
Right. So she had to do research to find out all about all these different things, and his trades. And I guess though maybe a lot of that was fairly public, though maybe she had an insider track.
Well, she says she spent 5 years doing the research.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, the alpha omega of the cycle is that she's Christine.
Right.
And remember, we're talking about the wheel within the wheel.
Right.
Like, now that this cycle is done, it will just repeat itself in different ways.
Though we don't ever get this omnipotent narrator type of character again. We go right back. We go into just first person.
Yeah, it's more like it becomes pulpy.
Yeah, pulpier.
I think that's okay, because this is so dense. It doesn't need to. Matt got this out of his system. So
right, of the pushing the envelope and having each little each arc be some sort of completely new narrative style.
Yeah. This page 11 is where Matt marries the Tales from the Underground with Crystal's book.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about I don't really remember what was going on in Vegas, but it was that
they were like rising up and
right, and that the vampires have infiltrated the Orion sword people, who are like living. So like I think that Orion, the Unau people believe that Vegas is like being held down, but really Vegas it's not.
Right. It's being like set on fire from the inside out, from like the underground to the above ground, basically.
We see here that Zebra Harriman has broken into Orion's bedroom, and there's an assassination attempt that was foiled by the Imperial Guard. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
And that spurs them saying, we're going to Vegas. Death over undeath. Let's keep the Grendels busy.
Yes. And the vampire's gone.
Yeah.
Let's burn them to the ground.
And Orion's acting like, when they go full on, get the red background, he's pissed. Like that, pissed. Like it's full rage.
And it like says something like, he rose and met it with like the decisive fury of his youth. Like he was back,
look at this. Look at this Orion sword ad. It's different in that it has a Vivat Grendel insert.
Right. That's right. It's the rallying cry, and they're like, we got something to do now.
And so that's a wonderful like expression of like how they have subtly manipulated media, because the media is subtly manipulated for us, the reader.
Exactly. Yes. They're like, ooh, okay. And here's the rallying call, guys. We're going for it.
Yeah.
All right. So we get some maternal or some, at home stuff. They're talking, and he's like, we'll be fine. I got this. I got work to do. But then he's like, ooh, his water breaks.
I'd really like, before that happens, she describes the vampires as the half-baked schemings of a race of mutants.
Yes, exactly. Like, he's like, you're too young to have been around when it was like really getting crazy,
And look at that, he's got the swirling Bernie, I don't know Bernieisms, but like the wooziness behind her. He says,
oh yeah.
Summon my obstetricians. And I read that, and it's like, it's so obviously intentionally funny. Like, it's so
gotta
funny.
Be the juxtaposition, and now we get this other juxtaposition of panel for panel of the destruction or the raising of Vegas with the birth of Jupiter. What's his middle name?
Niklos.
Yeah, is that a reference to something?
Well, I think it's a reference to their Greek heritage. Niklos, right? Because Asante. And then Jupiter is the Roman equivalent of Zeus.
Right. Our new god.
Yeah. So he says, one form of life, the virtual annihilation of one form of life, and the celebrated welcoming of another. Okay. Right. And I really
like how, oh, go ahead. Well, I just really like how loudly it speaks, how the panel is separated here. It's a 9-panel grid. But in one panel we have Orion and Jupiter, and then in the other panel we have Laurel and Crystal.
Yeah, and they're sort of dressed in like coronation garb,
right?
Almost like Alfonso Mucha, like Art Deco, kind of like flower wreaths and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't seen Orion smile or be this happy for a long time.
That is absolutely the smile that a new parent makes.
Oh yes, you would know.
So this is like within 18 months of Brennan being born, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
No. This might be, Brennan is probably coming around. It's 1990. So
yeah.
We
don't get a letters column or anything in this. I don't think we've seen it in the letters column. I know we saw the wedding, but.
Well, it's whatever.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Don't worry, Brent will get plenty of ink later on, so that's good.
All right, so he's he like loves playing with his child. He's spending all of his time.
That's what he does.
He he goes back to his retreat in North Dakota, and he's just raising his kid. He wants to impart all of his knowledge and give him everything he can before he's out of here.
Yeah, and then it's just he says, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna raise the kid, and once he sees that the kid has those qualities, he sort of relaxes and enjoys it.
Yes.
I think also I noted that he's 90 years old.
Right,
I believe.
I think
he might be 90 when the kid's born.
Oh, when he gives birth. Yeah, you're right.
You know who else was 90 years old? Abraham.
Wow.
Supposedly. I mean, so, according to the fairy tale or whatever it
is. So this is a biblical and
who knows? I think it's mostly just to say, like, wow, medical science in the 26th century is fucking crazy. To reinforce that idea.
And
then he dies.
Well, then he dies, and then he's put up on Mount Rushmore with Manny and Elvis
Manny.
And the old presidents. And like, who's this last guy with the
hat?
Yeah. Who is that?
That's some other guy that they put up on Mount Rushmore. But also it looks like maybe they've replaced some faces, because I see Lincoln and Roosevelt.
Maybe
but
that's just
it looks like they changed Washington into the guy with the hat. I don't know.
Oh, that is who's over there. Who is that? Gosh, we gotta know. We gotta ask Matt.
Yeah. Oh, look, and all these guys at Mount Rushmore. You see all the Grendels.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're hailing. Yeah, they'll always be there now. It's like a mecca, the Wailing Wall.
Let me, if you don't mind, I'll read Crystal's closing comment. To go further than this would be to invite still another 5 years. Oh my God, can you imagine? Of effort and research. My purpose has been to present a history of the Grendel Khan and his life. That goal, I feel, has been neatly achieved. But to go into the ramifications of my mother's 10-year rule and her insidious manipulations in the name of the Khan and against the true heir, well, That's another story altogether. I feel redeemed enough by this volume alone, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Crystal will have her own issues later on. So
she will.
That's and so she writes that Crystal Kennedy Martell, who pray tell she marries, I don't know.
Ooh, I don't remember either.
In Aspen, they love Colorado. Aspen, where the water flows like wine or whatever. Maybe it's the other way around. And I'm talking about a place called Aspen.
Like the salmon of Capistrano.
Yeah, and this book is written in the year 2627.
Wow.
40 years after Orion's death in 2588. Orion's sword. So that is I think ultimately Orion gets 20 issues of the story to be developed and to have an incredibly full arc. It's funny that the last 10 issues I think it's like 17 issues, excuse me. This one is all very biased. Like we do get to see Orion like in real time, but it's all through the filter of historical propaganda, essentially,
Right.
So,
but you don't think that's what we get with Hunter too, though? Technically, it is.
Well, it's through his eyes. Hunter writes his own legend.
He writes his own, novel and journals, but then Christine kind of organizes it and brings a narrative in or something.
Who's to say that Hunter doesn't know that someone's going to get their hands on the journals, be like, wow, this guy was a genius. Like, I got
True.
All right. You ready for Tales of the Underground?
Let's go. Suspicious Minds. We could go on together.
Have you seen the one in it's like 72 in Vegas where he plays this? Oh, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's in the jumpsuit and the horns, the choir. It's so
he's full Elvis. Yeah. Are you gonna go see Baz Luhrmann's Elvis film?
I really like in the beginning where it's got nods to Captain Marvel. He's wearing a Captain Marvel Kevin Matchstick Thunderbolt, like out of cardboard, which is a lot of fun. And what's his name? Austin
something.
Taylor Green or something. He's gonna play Austin Taylor Green. He's gonna play Fade Rathwa in the Baron Harkonnen's nephew.
Interesting. In the next Dune.
In the next Dune. He's Dave Bautista's. I don't know if they're brothers or cousins. I'm not. They're both his nephews. So,
he is certainly an interesting looking fellow, and that'd be cool to see him.
He looks like Bizarro Timothée Chalamet.
Yes, he does.
It's a very very well cast, and there's lots of great casting in that movie. Christopher Walken's playing the Emperor of the known universe. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. Chris Walken is playing the Emperor, which is so fucking crazy.
That's awesome.
And
I still got to see the first one.
What?
I didn't see it yet.
What? I made my parents watch it. I told them it was about oil, because like as the Academy Awards were happening, my mother's texting me. She's like, "Ooh, you keep talking about Dune. You've always liked Dune, right? What's Dune about? Maybe I have to see it now because it's winning all these awards." So I made them watch it here with me. Like we watched like almost 2 hours of it, and I was like, "All right, you get the idea. Like, don't like." It keeps going.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
How long does it go for? 2.5?
It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, something like that. It's good. It's very, very good. And all this Dune talk is a good segue, because what we see of Pellon Cross is very Baron Harkonnen, but it's also very Trump at the end. So it is. It's quite
well. We continue to see Zebra like getting upset and ready to like foment his own insurrection. He's ready to take matters in his own hands.
Yeah. So Zebra is like, we got to assassinate Orion. If we don't do it now, it's never going to happen. Orion is pregnant, so he's got extra security. Orion's pregnant with his own heir, so if we don't take care of that, this whole thing is going to...
He keeps having these little like he's like a conspiracy theorist. He's got all these things and he keeps bringing them, and everyone around him's like, "You're crazy. We can't do that."
and in their minds, they're like revolutionaries. They're like, Shay, or whatever, because they got to do this. But Kirsch is like stuck in his like war room, planning. And I asked you, what is the plan? You said it's just to take over. It's eventually will take over.
I think that's it, because we haven't really had it spelled out or haven't really learned a ton about it.
I think that the main takeaway from this is Tim and Bernie kill it. The atmosphere is fantastic. There's the new character introduced. What's his Jeffrey?
Oh yeah, his little buddy who becomes
his little buddy,
like a rabbit, right? Or like a little gremlin thing.
He becomes something like they call him Goofy. Well, we'll get there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So and they're also, another little thing is they all have to ration. So they just get these little Dixie cups of blood every day, and that's like about all they get. Where, we'll see later, not everyone's got a Dixie cup.
Yeah. Jeffrey gives him your aperitif. Sir. So I looked that up. Do you know what that is? It's a
after dinner drink. It's like a mid-meal drink or something.
I wasn't sure. It said, I couldn't get any clarity. It said it's a very dry bev that stimulates your appetite without like making you too I wasn't sure.
I think they like would serve it in between like the soup and the
salad so
dish
you'll be ready
like
for your entree.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. I got you. All right, so so the chasm between Kirsch and Zebra. Chasm.
I don't know. I say chasm, but
Macabre. Yeah, it's chasm. Yeah.
Macabre.
Well, that's what.
Is that like a Big Mac with brie?
No, it's macabre. It's the phonetic. And so in Tony McMillan's book, the main antagonist is named Macabre, based on Tony's mispronunciation of macabre.
That's awesome.
Okay, so
that's great. He's smart. All right, so yeah. He's like, we need to talk about this. Like, Asante's got to be gone, and like they continue. He's like, dude, no, come on. These are the crazy ideas of someone who doesn't trust in the first one. Trust the first one and his plan.
Yeah, a really interesting thing happens here where Zebra's like, nah, man, he's pregnant with his own baby. And he's like, they can't do that. And he goes, maybe 60 years ago when you knew what the fuck they were doing, they couldn't. But we don't know what's going on in the world of the living.
Right. And that shows something interesting. Like, they're not aging. They're out of the world pretty much completely.
They're out of sync.
You're right. Yeah. They don't see all that stuff. They don't age. They don't probably process time the same way.
Right. So he goes, fuck it, I'm going over your head.
Yeah.
I'm going right to Pellon Cross. And he's like chilling like Baron Harkonnen doing his blood hookah.
Like it. Yeah. Yeah. Like if at first you don't like see that he's on like all these pillows, it almost looks like, Bender when he wanted to become human and he's just a giant.
Does look like that.
Oh my God.
It's Jabba.
Right, exactly.
Jabba's palace, this thing.
Usawuku Zebra.
They wanna wanga.
All right, so yeah, he's just like, we gotta do this. It's like time to assassinate Orion. And he's like calling his lazy.
Yeah, we'll do it later. It's fine. We're fine. Don't worry too much.
And he's just like laying there like, I feel like he's talking like Mr. Crearso, the fat guy from Monty Python, the meaning of life.
I
just need another bite.
Yeah, I'll have the lot.
Yeah. He's like, oh please, sir, it's just a wafer thin.
I have to. The more I think about it, the more I think Terry Jones is my favorite Python.
Yes,
I mean they're all great.
So funny.
But my favorite bit is
the dream.
Oh, Dennis, there's some lovely filth down here.
Yes. What about they have that dream and they have Graham Chapman has like the faucets on his nipples, and then Terry Jones has like those super long arms, and he's like, "It goes where I may go."
That's in The Meaning of Life.
Yeah.
I don't remember. That
Such a good movie. Okay. I feel like that's like the least known of their bigger movies right there, because it's always like Holy Grail, Life of Brian.
I think that the audio recording on the Life of Brian is so poor that I've never been able to sit through it.
Oh man, it's so good.
But I have seen meaning of life a bunch of times. Anyway, that's great. Terrific. Okay. So they're all butting heads.
Well, yeah, and he's just like here huffing this thing, and he sucks up more blood through that pipe than everyone else gets to drink in a week.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow he is like smoking this blood through a hookah.
Yeah, it's a blood hookah.
Blood hookah, yeah, of course.
It's the 26th century. You can do anything. I mean, awesome. Maybe there's hookah smoke infused into the blood.
Oh, right. Like, yeah, he's as he pulls on the tube, it pulls in smoke. And
okay. So if you got just like Orion, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. He's like,
want it done right.
Yeah. Time for another one of your little fact-finding missions. So yeah, he does turn into this like little rabbit creature,
Well, he has a few different forms.
Well, I think not only do they have, it's like they can go anywhere in between, like from their human to their animal, but they can also go like in between where they're like half human, half animal. It kind of seems because like in this
some of them can,
panel
or this guy can.
Right. And that's why he's so talk where he's like, I found him like a year ago. I first found Jeffrey during our years in the desert. He's been an invaluable resource of information,
And he does have this like sinister Disney, it looks like a Ralph Bakshi. It looks like the Ralph Bakshi Coonskin character, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So he whispers into Laurel's ear. There's like this hypnotic, I'm gonna extract information out of your sleep talking.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Yeah.
Yep. Then on the next page, he comes back, and I guess he got some information. He's like, "That's it. We laid it on long enough." And now it's like he's carrying his own baby, and like they can't even do that, Kirch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that just continues, and now he kind of looks like in this the second to last page, he kind of gives off like that Colonel Kurtz vibe, or like the Dr. Moreau era.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's it reminded me of, what it looks like to me is Rankin Bass, like The Hobbit.
Oh yeah, this
kind of troll shit. Yeah. Sure. Very, very interesting drawing. Yeah. So we get a little bit of the plan, whatever the plan is, our plan, plan.
We're doing the plan.
Yeah. We'll still have years before Jupiter. It's just that it doesn't matter, and by then it'll be too late. Okay, so whatever ultimate evil, but in their eyes, they're an oppressed people. So it's like, to me, it's, I always think of Israel, Palestine. Depending on what lens you put it through, who's in the side or whatever it is.
Well, and it's also funny too. He's like, "You make my head pound like a hammer." It's like these two he's been putting up with for like 100 years, 60 years. Yeah. And they bicker like brothers. And he's like, "Enough."
Yeah.
And he's just like, let's just chill. And then that's
isn't there something where he announces Kirsch's first name for the first time on this page?
Oh, he does do something.
He just like drops his first name. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. That's it, I guess.
So
Harriman. No, they say that.
I think it's Alphonse.
Alphonse, like my dear Alphonse.
So this is the Orion South Tower. I guess this is in Colorado.
It must be. Oh, but not in South Dakota.
Because I think that they say South Dakota is totally secret. Right. That's why he can be on the deck. Yeah, he can be like
be a human there
because no one knows that it's there, because it's literally a shack with a bat cave complex underneath.
Right, a huge bomb shelter.
I really like the way Bernie just like makes the yellow pop in this and
it almost seems like a really dry media, like maybe not even like crayon almost, or like oil, or
no, it's just watercolor.
All right.
But we see it looks like Jeffrey has a crow form, and then he has this more like werewolf form.
Right.
And they send him in there.
Well, I think both of them. No, Kirch or sorry, Zebra's the crow. And he goes in to distract the
Zebra's the
security
guard. Right.
And then so Zebra goes in around the back and goes right in Orion.
Right. Yeah. Because the werewolf will distract, and then he busts into the bedroom. This is just like Hunter with the nudie pics and like putting his foot in people's balls and pushing them back in their chairs.
Yeah.
They love to break into people's bedrooms at night. It's happened like 3 times in the series.
Well, and they broke into Christine's house at night too, and that's when we had that amazing panders with all the broken things, you know. Yep. All right, so we're back in here, and we see him like Orion like yell, like startled. I kind of wish we would have pulled out a little bit more and seen this feeble old man body with a giant pregnant belly.
That's true, but I do really like this Orion drawing.
It's great.
It's really, really good acting.
Well, and Bernie too, with the blues like on the cheeks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, everything looks good. You're old man. You look a lot different than the last time I saw you, old man.
Yeah. Old, weak, dying. He forgot about the laser cage. The laser.
They put him everywhere.
Yeah,
they put him everywhere.
Yeah, and he just sizzles out, and they shoot him up.
Now this spread is really cool because at the bottom there's a pan across Vegas. Like once the assassination attempt fails and the guards bring him in, like interrogate this fucker, like we're gonna get everything. Fuck it, raise it to the ground. So you pan left to right, and then by the end it's all in flames.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, and on the second page too, around 23. I wish you didn't have to put page numbers all the time. Like you don't need them on this spread.
I gotta tell you, I find it useful. Yeah. I find it useful it's also useful from a production standpoint.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure.
You know, yes, yeah, you can get rid of it later on, but I think it's good.
It would be easy enough to just drop out of these ones too for a reprint. But
oh yeah, well, I'm sure we'll see what they do. We'll see.
I'm gonna fill in the blacks when I make the graphics for this episode.
Yeah, you can just use a little Sharpie here. Yeah. So this is happening, and Pellon and his vampire harem, they're all stoned, and thankfully, a few of them are able to get out. It's like a Trail of Tears type scenario. Yeah, onward, my people, and they're dragging him on a gurney or on a pallet
like a
or
stretcher
something
thing.
Yeah,
and but he's just like mad.
But they're not even, only one person's dragging by the feet. So he's like leaning up and his head's down there and he's gone mad.
Yeah.
And it's
someone bring me a drink.
It's literally Trump.
It is, yeah. Completely mad with whatever power he had. Just like insane.
Yeah. So it ends on a humor beat. And that's it. Like that's the cycle of the ongoing series that we've been dealing with for 2 years.
Yeah.
Wild.
All the way back to Christine and the Panders. I hope I don't want to feel scared with my Grendel tattoo and want to get it covered up. I guess I don't live in the actual world, but we will get there.
Oh, that's right. This is
for the Grendel Tales.
Because that's what this is about.
Very interesting.
Cool.
So yeah, what are your thoughts? What are your final thoughts? 40 issues of Grendel at Kimiko.
Well, we kind of touched on it earlier that it sort of pushes the boundaries as far as you possibly can.
Really can.
While young people in their 20s are learning to make monthly comics.
Yeah.
So whatever problems may or may not exist can sort of be chalked up to those things. And if there are problems, that's okay. There's also a lot of just like notes left unplayed. And that's the big question that I have for Matt. Like, that's obviously a huge part of like the literary strategy here. And how did you make those decisions? And, did you think about how much? No, I'm sure you did. Matt, did you think about how much that was going to challenge readers? I know you like to do that. And also, Matt like Dave Sim, Matt wants readers. He doesn't want collectors. He doesn't want, I don't know what he wants, but it's not about fanboys. It's not about variant covers. It's not about gimmicks. It's not about, fucking Mark McGuire baseballs.
Yeah.
It's about getting people to read.
Right. This medium that he loves and we all love.
Yeah. And once all this experimentalism, like really boundary pushing, like it's not genre hopping. It's like approach hopping, style hopping, format hopping.
Yeah.
Once that's done, we see a little bit of it at Dark Horse, but it's much more streamlined. that's not to say that like there isn't experimentalism in Dark Horse with layouts and artwork that blows your mind and great stories.
All the views in Grendel Tales and all these different Grendels.
Yeah, it's just like, it just things become so much more streamlined. And at Dark Horse, the batting average goes way the fuck up.
Yeah.
So so it's like it is a pleasure to watch young men working their asses off for like the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Learning how to be fantastic at what they do so that once the legal dust settles, it's all singing, all dancing.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Really making comics with intention, really like pushing it all as far as they can, turning this one character into, what do we see? 4 characters, and, taking an interlude and going back and, telling a Hunter Road story from a villain, from a criminal side, and doing all these interesting things. And just an epic run. And now, as epic as we think this stuff is, it just launches into like, the Devil Tales or Grendel Tales is like really where I started with Grendel. I didn't even see Hunter Rose and Christine for a while. So like, that to me is like some of the coolest, most interesting Grendel stuff. And I'm so excited to dive into that stuff and see all these different, ways they do the eyes on people without a mask, and they make the symbols. And now there's stuff that we haven't, you might not have read at all yet, and the Paul Grist stuff.
And to see Steve Siegel, really doing a lot of writing work, to see the guys from Croatia just do their own thing, and also to see Bernie. So Bernie brings on, I don't know, maybe his girlfriend or something. Bernie has a coloring partner. He has another 20 issues that he colors at Dark Horse.
Wow.
If not more. Multiple series that Bernie does. And War Child is done in a style similar to the Devil by the Deed recolors.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, where it's more bright, more flat. It couldn't be more different from what he's doing here.
Right.
For my money, this is kind of the peak of Bernie's coloring on the series. And it's almost like I think that Bernie's Dark Horse approach, it works for some people better than others. On Paul Grist, it really works.
Oh man, those are perfect. Super flats, super awesome.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But for the Devil in Detail, for Grendel, and for Kimiko's final run, final issue until next week, Ben.
Vivat Grendel. Great job, gents, everyone involved in this ongoing series at Kimiko. Young people learning to do it right, learning to do it on time, and always being innovative and entertaining. Thanks for entertaining us.
Yes, thanks so much. And much love to Tim Sale and family. Rest in power, Tim. We love you.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Matt.
Keep on Grendel.
Thanks, Bernie.
Yeah.